Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live. It's Thursday, June the 16th. I'm Haggerty 10, Tony Haggerty, as you know, Twitter handle, all that drill, you know all that. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW, who's kindly come on the briefing despite the fact he's on a week's holiday. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. How are you, sir?
Not bad, Tony. Aye, not bad.
How's
Nice
your
wee,
holiday
nice
going?
wee turn. Nice wee turn to come on midweek and not have
First
anything
one's,
else to do. Just jump on and jump off.
first one's holiday, is
That's
it?
it.
Something like that. Right, as we always do, first thing we do, big up our sponsors, One Football. And there they are, you can see their logo. And One Football app, links in the description. The one-stop football shop for scores, news, lineups, transfer rumours, live streaming, match highlights, much, much more. You can immerse yourself in the digital football world and have the best personal digital football experience out there. It's a cracking app, guys. We always tell you every day to download it, but make sure you do. It's some fantastic stuff and interesting stuff on there, and you'll enjoy it. And as you can see running along the bottom, we're still doing the free 30-day trial. Have a free 30 days on us. You know what to do. Tell you every day. Hit that subscribe button. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, Sean, I
Tony.
was watching Scotland the other day, and amongst the players that played, the Celtic players that played for Scotland, David Turnbull interested me. Good to see him get some game time when he hit a bit of form near the end of the season. He got 10 goals last season, 8 assists, Sean, despite missing a big chunk of the season from injury.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Bull, as the manager likes to call him, and he likes David Turnbull. Do you think this is a big season for him coming up with Neil Beaton departing and Tom Roderick departing the scene? Do you think Turnbull's another one who could step up to the plate and cement a regular first team spot?
I do. Aye. It's 6 assists, by the way. 10 goals, 6 assists. But I think he's actually in a really good position just now. David Turnbull. He's essentially getting into what will be his 4th full senior season, given he's had 2 lengthy injuries. The first of his full senior campaigns was obviously with Motherwell, but in the 2 that he's had with Celtic, the 2 main things I would say is, one, he won over the fans and being one of the kind of only shining lights in that 2020-2021 season. But then 2, won over Ange Postecoglou in the season just passed as well. Now he played well over 3,000 minutes, 3,268 I think it was. Even in spite of the fact that he had that injury absence where he had 3 months out after the League Cup final. So you add how much he was used by Postecoglou when he was available, when he was fit. Add that onto his set piece taking, his goal threat, and I think he gives Celtic a very good option, especially in domestic football. I think his next challenge, like a lot of this squad, will be to translate that, or some of it anyway, to the top European level.
Postecoglou's an admirer, though, isn't he? I mean, he's one that christened him the Bull, but he mentioned him a lot, even when he was out injured. You know, he kept bringing his name up as if he's a vital player for the team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, he did. He mentioned him several times during that injury absence, and it was about 3 months he was out. So it was a deliberate thing to mention him, whether it was to keep his spirits up, whether it was to make sure he knew he was still in his thoughts. Because you know, when a player's out injured for a considerable period of time and they're kind of not ostracised, but they're at the side of the pitch. They're away doing stuff with the rehab guys and the physio guys, the sports scientists. They're not necessarily in the thick of it. It can get to them, so it might have been for that reason. But ultimately, when he was fit, it took it kind of slow, rightly so as well. He took it slow, but it did get him the game time that he wanted towards the end of the season, and I think that kind of reinforced it to him as well, that he did still rate him.
He made sure he was never out of sight and out of mind, Sean, eh? As Jerry Coyle says here, good morning, one and all. Discussing my favourite Celtic player this morning. Our team played Ange ball more fervently when Turnbull's in the side. Wonderful, wonderful player. Is he one of these guys, Sean, that's underrated in the Celtic team? I think he's a talented
footballer. A wee bit, but his output means that he doesn't go under the radar for long, if you know what I mean. Because at the start of the season, remember, there was questions, probably quite rightly, questions of his suitability to play in a midfield that Ange Postecoglou seemed to want. Now, at the time, there wasn't really any other options anyway, and it was McGregor, Turnbull, Rogic every other game until January, really, or until he got injured. But regardless, I think after the initial couple of games where people were asking those questions, he had the hat trick against St Mirren. He played well in general. His games his kind of level of performance went up a wee bit. And as I say, the output is something you can't really argue with. If that's the output that you're getting from him, he's going to be in and about that starting 11 more often than not.
And also, Sean, anybody that can have a dig and hit a football with schwaz, which was David Turnbull's word when he scored against his former club Motherwell at first part early in the season, in a 2-0 win the same day that Ange said, "You call the title race early, you guys, do you not?" But yeah, we'd asked him to spell schwaz, but he has a cracking dig on him, and anything from 25, 30 yard range, he's pretty accurate, isn't he?
He's decent. I mean, the set piece taking as well as hitting it from distance as well is what I'd focus on. But also, I suppose it is a wee bit of a negative, but he is very one-footed at times, and I think he needs to work on that. I think that is something that, especially at a higher level, will get exposed. Now and again, if he's constantly looking to turn back onto his right foot, then opponents that do even a cursory glance at his kind of the way that he plays will just force him to go onto his left because he won't use it that often, that kind of thing. He's got the talent to do it. That's the thing. I think it's possibly a case of he's never had to can I do that before, and that's why he seems to be so one-footed. But that aside, I mean, the only other thing, and it's not really a negative. It's not even a drawback. It's just something worth highlighting. Do you remember the other week when we were speaking, Tony, and I was saying about the contract expiry graphic that I'd put on the website? Yes. I pointed out at that day that Turnbull was the only guy that you could term a kind of key player that was going to be out of a contract in 2024. Now, as I say, that's not a negative, really, because it just tells you the rest of them are tied down on even longer deals. But it is worth remembering, and if he starts next season well, which I expect he probably will, then I wouldn't be surprised to see an extension announced pretty sharp even before the end of the calendar year. Yeah,
without a doubt. Now, Ian McGuigan came in there and said he was a fantastic talent. I don't disagree with that, and really it's up to Turnbull to make the position his. He has to up his game. Do you agree with that, Sean, that and David Bradley comes in and says that he doesn't do enough in the big games? Be a bit with that, but he doesn't do enough in the big games. Is it the big games that Turnbull has possibly underperformed, Sean? Now, Celtic into the Champions League, and they've got a lot of big games coming, so everybody's going to have to step up to the plate.
I think the best way to answer is probably to take David's other question, which is a first team starter. We will do another one because we've done it in January. Remember when we kind of put together what is Celtic's kind of strongest starting 11? The two of us done an article on that because they obviously signed Matt O'Reilly, Real Hatate, Yusuke Deguchi, and Daisen Maeda and stuff. So we'll do that again just before the season starts, maybe the start of pre-season, something around about then. Ultimately, I think no. I think it's probably Hatate and O'Reilly for me. I think O'Reilly taking Rogic's place, but that's not to say he's not first team quality. Just that if you're starting a strongest team, would he be in mine right now, first 11? Arguably not. I think you could argue the toss between him and Hatate. To be honest with you, I would have O'Reilly in there though. What do you think, Tony?
No, I definitely, I thought I love O'Reilly. I do think Turnbull's a baller though, and I think and I don't know. He just fancied him a lot when Rogic and McGregor was there, didn't he? So I don't know if a lot of people would maybe think that Turnbull and O'Reilly and a midfield of Turnbull, O'Reilly, McGregor, is that too fanciful? Do they need a digger in there? Somebody with a bit of physical presence, that kind of stuff. So it just depends the way you're going to want to play. But a lot of people also say Turnbull slows the game down. I'm not so sure about that. I do think he's got a lot to offer. First team starter, I'm a bit like you. I'm not sure, but I can see him hitting the ground running and forcing the manager's hand on that because I think the talent's definitely there.
The thing is, we know without a doubt domestically he can do it because the output is there. It's been there. It was there when, as I say, he was one of the only kind of good things about the 2020-21 season. And last season, even amongst the kind of having to adapt to what was required as playing as an 8 in Postecoglou's team, he still had good output, and that was again a 3-month absence as well. All right, he never had much time to add to that output after he came back and stuff, but certainly the output was still there. The raw numbers are still. He gets goals and he gets assists. Is that enough? As David Bradley asked, I don't know if it is. It depends. Horses for courses, all that kind of stuff. Certainly, as I say, the Champions League level is his next challenge, but that you could say that for a few of the players.
The Beach Boys comes in, maybe having a Pop at me because I say he was a baller. Ballers play 5-a-sides for a living. Top teams need aggressive, intelligent, dynamic footballers. I just said that as well, that maybe need some height.
I'll tell you why I don't play 5-a-sides anymore then, Tom.
I wonder if Beach Boys plays 5-a-side. Can ask him. I'm a firm believer that you can't get enough good footballers in your team.
And, certainly in your squad, Tony. I mean,
in your squad, yeah.
I mean, as much as I'm saying, don't know if he would be in the strongest starting 11, he's still in the start. He's still in the squad, and he's still an option to use whenever you want, really. So I wouldn't take it as too much of a negative.
Mark D of Kirkrock comes in there. One thing with Turnbull, his ability to score screamers. Indeed, I pointed out that swaz they can put in the ball that change games. Not all have that. That's very true. David Barrett comes back in. His running levels worry me. I don't know if he's up to Ange's level. Well, we'll find out in the fullness of time with a good pre-season behind him.
The club collate these things there. That's why they wear some of the stuff and all that. Like, it's not the data that I kind of have access to. That's not like the Y-Scout stats bomb stuff, like the distances run, that kind of thing. But the club have that kind of thing. I'd imagine if they were worried about it, he wouldn't have been playing as much. Put it that way. But I also think Turnbull suffers from what I would say is a very West Coast of Scotland trait, is he looks gubbed even if he's not gubbed. So that plays into it a wee bit. But
a kind of possible languid, lazy kind of fluid style, hasn't he? Maybe I don't mean lazy in that sense. It looks languid and it looks lazy. That's the thing, as you just said there. No, I was interested. So if Beach Boys is a baller, does that make him a beach baller? That's what I want. That's what I want to know. You can let me know in the comment section if you're still there. Beach Boys, give me a shout. Now, Sean, I wrote an article today. I put it on the website talking about the virtues of Harry Kewell, and I spoke to Davis Kaler-Dunn, former Ross County and Falkirk midfielder. He gave us a wonderful insight into what makes Harry Kewell tick as a first team coach. And it all sounded a bit familiar to me. He's a perfectionist. He's slashed off the training ground. He doesn't stop. And I'm thinking, touch of deja vu here. I know exactly a man who's like that. And I'm thinking that Ange possibly bringing in a first team coach who's cloned like him and wants the same things. And Davis Kaler-Dunn said that he likes attacking football and he'll work wonders with attacking players like Jota. And it's a very interesting insight, a wonderful insight. And Sean's put the link up there. You can have a read of it yourself and see what you think. What's your thoughts on Kewell coming in, Sean? First and foremost.
I mean, it was all happening at the weekend.
Yeah.
Just in time for me to log off on holiday. But he's obviously a big name, and what a player he was as well. Right enough in saying that, it's just popping into my head. As those of you who kind of frequent the website will know from Tony's big interview at the weekend with Mark Fotheringham, you don't need to be a top player to be a top coach. It's not always a given that the two will go hand in hand. What I would say, looking at Harry Kewell just from the kind of the off the field prism, is so far his managerial career, it's been kind of uninspiring, isn't it, from a results perspective? And I'd say this, off the back of that, this is a far bigger chance or coup for him than it is for Celtic in that regard. That said, it is actually quite difficult to judge how effective a coach someone is from their managerial wins and losses record, if you know what I mean. And that's where I found your interview with Davis Kaler-Dunn interesting, Tony, because he worked with Kewell at Oldham, where he was sacked in March of the 2020-2021 season, but yet Kaler-Dunn's focus wasn't on the kind of results that led to that sacking, but it was on kind of how dedicated, how focused, how influential he can be on a training ground. So going back into a backroom role, not to mention working with better players as well, might actually be just a ticket for him. And Ange Postecoglou already knows him anyway from an overlap in the kind of Australia youth coaching. So overall, I think it's an intriguing appointment if it does go through.
Well, Davis Kaler-Dunn said if it goes through, it's a win-win for Celtic. And he reckons that Harry Kewell is tailor-made for an Ange Postecoglou Celtic team. In the fullness of time, we'll see that, and hopefully he does come in and he makes a contribution and a difference. But I'm just laughing, Sean. There it is. I'm the size of my beach ball now, Tony. I finished up.
I like this as well, Jerry. Talking about
love that honesty. Thanks very much for that, beach ball.
Talking about David Turnbull and looking gubbed before he's actually gubbed. Jerry Kyle, the Stevie Fulton look. I think you've got the Inverclyde look is what it's called.
Stevie Fulton, who was christened Baggio by Billy McNeil very early in his career, wasn't he? But there you go. No, yeah, I mean, the Harry Kewell one, yeah. Andrew Gillett will be massive for Abada and Jota. Well, that's what Davis Keillor-Dunn was saying, because he likes an emphasis on attacking football like Ange Postecoglou, which the parallels were striking to me, Sean, when I was reading that, and the similarities between the two personnel members. So they might, well, I'm assuming they will bounce off each other very, very well.
I would imagine so, because as I said, there's some experience there. I think it was a fairly brief overlap, but it was still together at the kind of Australia youth setup and stuff. So, and he will know him anyway. Australia's greatest ever manager and arguably Australia's greatest ever player, so they will know each other anyway. But put it this way, wouldn't it be, if it goes through, it wouldn't have been green lit for him to join the coaching staff without Ange Postecoglou kind of thinking that this would improve what's there and stuff. I think Andrew makes a good point about the wingers. It is also worth remembering, like, the way that John Kennedy gets stick for Celtic's defensive performances. Just because you were a centre back as a player doesn't mean that you're specifically a centre back coach, that kind of thing. But obviously, having talked to Davis Keillor-Dunn, who plays midfield but has also played out wide as well, he knows firsthand what Harry Kewell's like on a coaching level, and he specifically said that for Jota in particular, it could be something that takes him to another level, which is a scary thought.
Yes, he mentioned the 1-to-1 tuition that he got from Harry Kewell, because he was a 10 like Kewell, he said, and he gave him a lot of 1-to-1 time. And he said the likes of Jota and Abada would thrive in that, but especially somebody like Jota.
Kewell was, I remember him when I was younger, Leeds more than Liverpool, although he was good at Liverpool as well. But I remember him, he suffered from, it's a very British football thing at the time, which would be, you're a number 10, but ultimately you get shifted out wide a lot because they don't really know what to do with a number 10 at that point. But he was what a player. He was a
wonderful footballer, yeah, definitely. Now, Sean, we've deliberately not spoken about the transfer rumours because there's too many going around and around. But and we don't want to waste time on players that might not sign for the club. I mean, that's basically the bottom line, isn't it?
Basically, I don't want to turn it into just speculation every day, that kind of thing. But
yeah, so we've taken an exec deck on that one. We're not ignoring it in case anyone is asked, puts in the comments what's happening, this and that. We prefer to deal in facts, don't we, Sean, rather than kind of internet rumour and speculation. And we'll
at least stuff that's got a wee bit of meat on the bones and stuff like that. We'll do that. But I just more than anything else, I just don't want this to turn into 5 days a week during the summer. We're talking about the latest rumour. Might do it maybe once or twice, but aye.
We'll maybe have a day where we call it taxi driver rumours, Sean. Something like that. Yeah, but there you go. Now, something else that appeared on the website today, Sean, was Kevin McKenna's column. The Celtic have agreed to play Legia Warsaw, whatever you pronounce, however you want to pronounce it or say it, in a benefit match for Artur Boric. And he's written a lovely column today about Artur Boric being a football fan, first and foremost, before he was a player. You put the link up there. It's always a good read when Kevin provides us with copy and words. And I just wanted to ask yourself and the commenters out there their favourite memory of Artur Boric.
Well, first of all, I remember when he first joined Tony, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember at the time he had a daft hairdo, right? Yes. But also I liked David Marshall, and I really wanted to see him get like the number 1 spot for the full season. Yeah. And I was like, this guy Boric, his daft hair and stuff and all that, right? So I wasn't overly enamoured with him when he signed, just purely for that reason. But after that, he became, through his performances and his character and all of that, he became someone I routinely, still to this day, defend in pub debates or group chat discussions with my mates as the best keeper to play in Scotland in the past couple of decades at least. Don't know if you would agree with that. It's maybe a bit far for you, but that is what he grew into. That is what he grew into.
Oh, he was a wonderful, wonderful goalkeeper. My abiding memories are the penalty save against Spartak Moscow and the mad dance that he did. And then obviously penalty save against Manchester United with Louis Saha. But his goal in the penalty shootout against Dundee United, there was nobody more delighted. He stuck it in the top bin. Absolute brilliant penalty, but there was nobody more delighted than him that it had gone in. He could turn around and say, I've scored for Celtic. He just seemed absolutely delighted about that.
Arguably one of the best penalties I've seen a Celtic player take. Full stop.
Yeah,
To be
and a
honest.
shooter, yeah.
It was no, just in general.
Just in general, I
Right
was.
in the top scratcher.
I mean, dispatched it. So he was never
And
getting
it's
it.
against Lucas Iljuska, wasn't it?
Zaluska, yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, and the save against Hibs at Easter Road onto the post, brilliant, yeah. Boric, somebody you put up Timon on Boric at the flag, the penalty save Visaha, yeah. I mean, he did a Graham Souness, didn't he? And ran about with the flag at Ibrox, didn't he? And I just think, as you said, I think a lot of Celtic supporters fell in love with his antics and the fact that, again, another goalkeeper like Joe Hart, you've seen the video clips of Joe Hart recently singing the Callum McGregor song, he just fell in love with the club very early. And got under his skin, and he...
It did, I certainly did. I think, I mean, I've made the claim there that I think he's the best keeper to play in Scotland in the past couple of decades. You could maybe, even just with Celtic keepers, you could maybe argue Fraser Forster could make a grab for the best Celtic keeper anyway after his last spell, that League Cup final match, etc. I could make a case that Craig Gordon could claim it overall on natural talent too. But see, in terms of reaching a peak while you're in Scotland, while you're playing your football in Scotland, I still think Boric edges it. I mean, you've got to remember, 2008, I think it was, he was shortlisted for the FIFA Pro World 11 for his displays with Celtic in Poland. And I'm right in saying that there was only 4 other goalkeepers made the list that year. So it wasn't like one of those things where there's a long list of like 25 keepers from across the world. I'm sure it was Boric, and then it was Buffon, Casillas, Cech, and Van der Sar. Come on, I mean, come on. Aye. It's, I mean, you could say, like, on top of some of his standout displays and his affection for the fans and stuff, that all singles him out as special. Some detractors, like some of my pals, would say that there was a lack of longevity at Celtic where he was properly at that peak, which might be fair enough. But as I say, see, in terms of reaching a certain level, a certain peak in Scottish football, I think it's Boric still for me.
I think people also fell in love with his character. Kevin's picked out the quote where he was asked about what he would become an expert in, and he said beer, didn't he? He said he'd become an expert. And I think people just like that kind of down-to-earth nature of him, and that kind of, madman flick the switch, and he would just become a completely different person.
Well, it's funny because you hear some of them in the dressing room saying he was quite quiet. He never really said all that much, but then he would just be a flick of the switch and you'd see it. And you don't see him for a couple of years. Obviously, everybody kept kind of tabs on him, going to Fiorentina and stuff, and when he was down south. Then you see him back at Legia and he's scaling the barriers with a flag and all that. You're just going, that was Arthur. So
just somebody that loved his football, Sean, loved his beer, and loved 2 clubs, Legia Warsaw and Celtic, and And on that note,
I've got to say that it's worth reading Kevin McKenna's article just to take a wee walk down memory lane and why everybody kind of loves Arthur Boric and stuff. But it does sum it up what you just said there about like to wee beer and stuff. He sums it up well near the end of it when he says ultimately people liked him because he liked doing what the rest of us like to do after a win, having a drink, going a wee bit mental, getting it right up the opposition.
And as Kevin said, what's not to like about
exactly
that kind of football banter? But yeah, he fit his Celtic like I loved. Well, there you go. Warsaw fan friend with a sword. I saw that.
And it was on a throne on the
it was kind of the weirdest going away gift. But as Sean just alluded to there, you just shrug your shoulders and say, "That's Arthur." Probably asked him what he wanted as a going away gift. Nice one. And on that note, we will bring today's edition of the Celtic Briefing to an end. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the comments. I'm still laughing at Beach Boy's comment about the fact of his shape now, but I'm sure you were a baller in your day, sir. I'm sure you were. Like us all, a great football career behind us, Sean, haven't we? A glorious future behind us. As someone once said to me, a glorious future behind you, son. Nice one.
Inverclyde District will never forget my 2 months of decent displays.
I'm sure someone have got a Scottish Cup runners-up medal from 1983-84, and Christian Daly was the difference between the Dundee Select and Scotland Select. I'm not bitter, Sean. I'm over it, honest. There you go. But tune in tomorrow, same time, same back channel. Thanks for your comments. We try and read them all out as much as we can. Hopefully, there might be some transfer news, Sean. Real news.
Yeah, we'll see.
Get what you
cheer
about, but Thanks for your contribution, Sean. First class as always. Guys, thanks a lot. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Cheers, Tony. Cheers, guys.